What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back with another Four Corners video for today's 8-game MLB main slate, courtesy of Awesemo.com. It's a slightly smaller slate today without some of the egregiously high team totals we've seen recently, but there still should be a decent amount of hitting to go around today, so that means I'm going to give you guys a chance to win a free month of an Awesemo Plus membership. All you have to do right now is like this video and comment your double dong pick down below, the guy you think is going to hit 2 home runs today. If you're correct, you'll be entered to win that free month of Awesemo Plus, so right now, like the video and comment your double dong pick down below. But now let's get on to our first corner on today's slate, the top pitchers, and Trevor Bauer going against Detroit should be a top option industry-wide. Bauer gets 3.4 implied runs against him, and he's expected to be the number one owned pitcher on DraftKings with 34%, on FanDuel with 32%, and on Yahoo with 53%. Bauer has the same strong spot that Clevinger excelled in yesterday as we hoped, with slightly less strong stuff at a 27.4% K rate and a 4.3 xFIP this year. But Detroit remains bad enough with a 26.1% K rate versus right-hand pitching to come close to the field on Trevor Bauer's ownership. To be clear, I liked Clevinger a lot more yesterday and I had a ton of him in my lineups last night. I think Bauer is a fine play and I'll probably come close to the field in his ownership because Detroit is so bad, but he really hasn't been as good of a pitcher this year as Clevinger has been. Madison Bumgarner versus the Mets should also be popular today with a 3.3 implied run total against him, which is a slate low. Bumgarner will be the number 2 owned pitcher on DraftKings with 30%, on FanDuel with 19%, and also on Yahoo with 50%. A pitcher-friendly park and Bumgarner's 24.9% K rate should help limit damage, but there is some dangerous hitting with Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonso, Wilson Ramos, and Amed Rosario all over a 118 WRC plus versus left-hand pitching. Bumgarner has shown some real weakness versus righty hitters in particular, so I don't think this is a sure thing spot. I'm inclined to go under the field on Bumgarner, and I'll probably have some Mets exposure going against them. And Noah Syndergaard at San Francisco should also be popular overall with a 3.7 implied run total against him. Syndergaard will be the number 3 owned pitcher on FanDuel with 15%, and also on Yahoo with 27%, while he'll be the number 4 overall pitcher on DraftKings with 21%. Syndergaard hasn't quite lived up to his history with a worse 4.04 xFIP, 24.3% K rate, and a 3% home run rate in 2019. And with San Francisco under league average and strikeouts at 22.2%, this seems like a decent spot because of price and par factors more than Syndergaard's actual performance. I don't mind Syndergaard here, but I'm not crazy about him. He's going against the hot San Francisco lineup, and he really just hasn't been there this year in a way that I really trust him in a meaningful way. On to our next corner, the top stacks on the slate, and a Houston stack going against Matt Harvey should be popular today. Houston gets 5.4 implied runs for them, and Harvey's been unable to miss bats with a 16% K rate. He's also allowed strong power with just a 10.4% soft contact rate, as well as giving up a 4.6% home run rate. Fair prices for Houston at a positive hitting park seems like good reason to ride with what should be a popular Houston stack, with an 18.1% K rate and a 192 ISO versus right-hand pitching on the year. Houston's reasonably priced and in a good spot, so even though they are going to be a highly owned stack today, I'm willing to at least match the field there because I do think they have a ton of potential tonight. A Washington stack versus Julio Teheran should be very popular today with 5 implied runs for them. Washington looks to be the top owned stack industry-wide despite the low 222 batting average and 2.8% home run rate that Teheran has yielded so far in 2019. It's not expected to be terribly hot at Atlanta today, so while hitters like Adam Eaton, Anthony Rendon, and Juan Soto look good in a positive hitting park, this may be a bit of an overowned spot without that humidity helping them out. I think Teheran's done a good job limiting damage in a way that people really haven't appreciated so far. Washington is a good team, but I do think the hitting here is a bit overrated, and his team definitely looks overowned, especially if Atlanta's not going to be as hot as it usually is today. And a Minnesota stack versus Mike Fiers should also be popular with 5.7 implied runs for them. Fiers allows a 5.4 xFIP and only a 15.8% K rate this year, but he's mostly limited damage really well with just a 1.1 whip. Minnesota's weather is heating up with a near 90-degree day, so their 225 ISO versus right-hand pitching and under league average strikeout rate of 20.9% could result in production higher than Fiers' usual output allowed. With the weather heating up in Minnesota, we could start to see the park factor swing towards the hitters. I think this is one spot I'm willing to have exposure because Fiers is a guy who does seem due to give up more production than he has thus far. On to our next corner, the lower owned options on today's slate, and a Cincinnati stack going against Dakota Hudson is one of those teams. Cincinnati gets 5.4 implied runs, and Hudson has struggled mightily versus left-handed batters with a 1.9 whip, just a 17% K rate with 45.3% hard contact allowed, which should be a hot, positive hitting park. Cincinnati is really disappointed in 2019 with a 232 batting average and an 81 WRC plus versus left-hand pitching, but their 181 ISO shows the ability to create power if things level out for them. I think this is a decent spot for Cincinnati to have an outlier day based on their performances so far this year. I'm willing to go to these guys today, and there's one guy in particular I like a lot who I'll talk about in just a little bit. Kyle Gibson versus Oakland also intrigues me despite the 4.8 implied runs against him. Gibson is cheap given his 24% K rate and 13.4% swing strike rate, with Oakland's projected lineup at a 25.4% K rate versus right-hand pitching. The hot weather can be a risk, as is Oakland's 207 ISO, but on this slate, Gibson could open up salary and provide real strikeout upside with a proven ability to limit damage as well. As you may be able to tell, I'm not crazy about the pitching on today's slate, so I'm willing to go to guys like Gibson here who have some real upside. Even if Oakland can blow him up, he does have enough strikeout ability where he could have a decent fantasy day. And a Milwaukee stack versus Merrill Kelly also looks a bit interesting with 4.6 implied runs for them. Kelly hasn't been bad, but he also hasn't shown much with an 18.1 42.5% K rate, and 42% hard contact allowed overall. Arizona's park will favor pitching, but Milwaukee has 5 hitters over a 244 ISO versus right-hand pitching, who could stick it to Kelly given the weaknesses he's shown so far. Kelly's been more mediocre than bad, but on a slate of this size, Milwaukee could have an outlier power day, which could make them a top stack without much ownership expected for them. And Steven Strasburg versus Atlanta also jumped out to me with a 4.6 implied run total against him. Atlanta is a solid squad, but Strasburg's 29.1% K rate and 14.2% swing strike rate could be productive at low ownership today. Whether it's the narrative that Strasburg is bad versus Atlanta, the matchup, or Strasburg's price, nobody projects to be on him today despite 4 hitters in Atlanta's lineup above league average in strikeout rate and a relatively cool Atlanta day. Even though Strasburg has a penchant for getting blown up by Atlanta, he does have the ability to have a big fantasy day that many of the other pitchers on the slate simply don't have, and the fact that Atlanta is going to be colder today does help him out more than people may realize. On to our last corner of the top one-offs on the slate, and Pete Alonso going against Madison Bumgarner is a guy I'm intrigued by. Alonso has smoked left-handed pitching all year with a 442 ISO, 173 WRC plus, and 54% hard contact rate, so even though he's a strikeout risk, he could be an interesting leverage bat in lineups where you don't have Madison Bumgarner. I wouldn't go crazy on Alonso ownership today because it is still a positive pitching park, but he does have a ton of potential here, and he's really shown the ability time and time again to stick it to left-handed pitchers. Yordan Alvarez versus Matt Harvey is also one off that interests me. Alvarez projects to be the lowest owned of the Houston top 5 despite a 186 WRC plus and 58% hard contact rate, while Harvey gives up a big 4.8% home run rate and 5.4 xFIP to left-handed batters. Matt Harvey's shown very little versus left-handed batters, and Yordan Alvarez has shown a lot in his limited sample size in the majors so far. I think it's a nice spot to go to him, especially if he is going to be one of the lower owned pieces of the highly owned Houston stack. And Derek Dietrich versus Dakota Hudson is the guy I hinted at earlier who I like a lot. Dietrich is reasonably priced as Cincinnati's top lefty power bat with a 212 ISO and a 120 WRC plus, while Hudson can't strike out left-handed batters with a 17% K rate, 294 batting average, and 6.2 xFIP allowed. Dietrich is cheap, not terribly highly owned. He's shown the ability to have multi-home run games in the past in a positive hitting park that should also be very hot today. It's a nice spot to go to Dietrich at not much ownership expected. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on today's slate. So right now, if you want to get in the mix for that free month of Awesemo Plus, all you have to do is like this video and comment your double dong pick down below. Yesterday, we had 4 guys in the majors hitting home runs: Teoscar Hernandez, Trey Mancini, Eduardo Escobar, and Danny Santana. Unfortunately, nobody guessed those guys correctly. So again, get weird with your picks, get contrarian with it. But whatever you do right now, like this video and comment your double dong pick down below. But if you don't want to mine for gold amongst your home run picks, all you have to do is use this promo code Switch and Hedge for half off your first month of Awesemo Plus. Get all the ownership projections, the rankings, the regular projections that you just plug right into the Fantasy Cruncher, the deep dive column, the lineup builder tool. There's a million different things I could keep naming to try to sell you on a better way to make MLB DFS lineups. But all you need to know is use this promo code Switch and Hedge right now for half off your first month of Awesemo Plus. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I'm here for you guys every day giving information. I'm also available whenever you want to tweet me and talk any nonsense on there. So go ahead right now, follow me on both Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I'll be back on Live Before Lock later today, so subscribe, hit that notification bell to know when we go live. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow with another Four Corners video. So I hope you guys enjoy your day and good luck.